Shit.
What is up, everybody, and welcome into the Triple H podcast. Happy Hour Hoops. The playoffs have started. We have injuries everywhere, drama everywhere. We're going to preview some games. We're going to talk about the drama that is the stomp heard around the NBA by Draymond Green. Do you guys want to just quickly go over some of the injuries and the stomp before we get into
all of it?
all the
let's
games?
go injuries first, Donnie. I think injuries first, and then we'll talk about Draymond's curb stomp.
Tyler Hero broken hand happened Sunday night. Super unfortunate, especially when the Heat were able to grab a win in that game. I saw today earliest Hero could come back would be the NBA Finals. So, unless a miracle happens in this series, looking like he's done till next year, which it sucks. Like I said, Hero's not injured. They steal a game in game one. People probably think this is a different series, but just very, very unfortunate when they have a chance, I guess, to take down the Bucks, but little to none now without Tyler Hero.
Yeah, I mean, they have some good guards like that. Maybe they could plug in a little bit if Strus gets hot, obviously, but that's a big loss. So this has been Hero's best year. He was finally a starter this year, not coming off the bench anymore, and he proved that he could be a starter, and it's tough. It's just a tough situation for the Miami Heat because, like you said, Donnie, they stole game one. They stole game one. The Bucks were backs against the wall at that point, right? You steal game one, especially with the other injury we're going to talk about, Giannis, who got hurt in that game. This is the series to capitalize, but unfortunate for the Heat. It's going to be a lot tougher now. Jimmy Butler's going to have to play like he did game one for 7 games this series. Playoff Jimmy all over again.
And he's gonna recreate that meme where he's just dead tired under the basketball stanchion, just leaned over like that woman who works at KFC. But yeah, you mentioned it, same game. Giannis leaves. It's looking like a pain tolerance thing, lower back injury for Giannis. Still unfortunate. I mean, you could probably key Jimmy Butler going off and the Heat able to grab a win because of Giannis going out there.
Yep.
Questionable for game 2. I think most NBA fans, including the 3 of us, I don't want to speak for all of us, but I assume you guys think he'll probably be back for game 2.
He'll have 35
thinking.
And 15 he does when he comes back from every other injury.
Yeah.
Like anytime Giannis gets hurt, pencil him in to go off for the next week. He's a robot, dude. It's crazy. Like Giannis he's not human. He gets hurt and he somehow comes back stronger than he did before every single time. So I think you could speak for all of us, Tony. I expect him to play. I expect him to play well.
Yeah, a fun bet might be like Bucks minus 14 tomorrow or something. Like just take some crazy thing because they might just come out and be pissed and just stop them, and Giannis clearly leading the way with that.
Yeah.
It feels like a Giannis PRA bet for me. It really does. It feels like an over Giannis PRA. It feels like a Giannis points. It's just Giannis will know, like, okay, like it's Jimmy Butler versus me at this point. And Giannis is those type of guys too. When coming off a loss, he'll bounce back pretty strong. I'm not too worried about this one.
Yeah. So, and then last guy too, John Morant, same kind of thing here, just a pain tolerance thing. I've been seeing kind of all sorts of different reports on Ja today, but mostly all saying the same things. Like I was seeing earlier in the day that it's a game time decision. I saw right before we hopped on that it was still questionable with the hand injury, but no like permanent damage, no fractures or anything. I think just some like bone bruises in the hand or whatever. I think
it looks so bad, dude.
Yeah. And what I was just going to say is like kind of similar to Bucks against Miami. If the Bucks didn't have Giannis, I think they would be screwed. And I think same thing. I think the Grizzlies need Ja Morant in this series, especially after the Lakers looked in game 1. So we'll see about Ja as well. Same. I think I leaned Giannis would probably be back before Ja just because, hands obviously crucial in basketball. And Giannis has just kind of been a different beast with these types of things before. I mean, we remember the
He's an
hyperextended
alien.
knee
He's not from
where
human-
everyone thought he
from planet
tore
Earth.
just about every ligament in his knee, and then came back and won the NBA Finals for the Bucks. So,
do you know for Jazz, it right or left hand wrist? Do you know?
I believe it was his shooting hand, but I could be wrong.
So
I
he's
think
going to have a lot of trouble too signing all those documents for the 17-year-old he's suing. So
You know,
there
you
might be someone to
got
help him out there too.
That's what you got DocuSign for now. Like, it's all good.
Yeah,
Yeah, he'll
a
be
couple
all right with
clicks.
that.
Yeah,
with one finger.
Yeah, got to keep his priorities in line, right? If he can play, or if he can sign for the documents.
Yeah, Jazz having a tough go at it when you throw that into the mix there, but we'll see. We're gonna talk Lakers Grizz towards the end there. That's interesting stuff to get to in that series. And then the last piece of news, which will also recap this game. So the Draymond Green stomp. Everyone's seen it. Everyone's heard about it. Everyone has their own shitty opinion on it. Let's go down the line here, Jake. Your initial findings, initial thoughts. What do you think here?
And I mean, in the moment, it was legitimately one of the funniest outcomes you could have possibly imagined. And just for Draymond to just go full Draymond in game 2, nonetheless. Game 2, guys. It took 2 games for this to happen. Yeah. And I think that speaks to something we were talking about. One of the reasons I picked the Kings inevitably in the series before was Draymond has been on edge all season long. He has literally started the season on edge. And now here we are in what was obviously a critical game 2. Team cannot win on the road at all. They're, not hanging with the Kings as well last night, the whole game, as they were in game 1, but they're still hanging around just enough. And Draymond goes and does something like this. And, Sabonis, that was dirty as hell by Sabonis too. He deserves just as much blame, completely, fair, everything else. But the one dude who doesn't get the benefit of the doubt in reacting in any type of way from that, not just walking away from Sabonis and doing nothing, is Draymond. So how is he? He's always going to play the victim, but how are we back here again to Draymond doing something ridiculous in the playoffs, getting kicked out of a game and then complaining about it? It was 7 years ago this shit was still happening. It's crazy. It's just wild. It's
like these players not are targeting Draymond at this point, but they're instigating. And I think too there were some people that said, from one camera angle, Sabonis is protecting his head. And it's like, okay, you can still protect your head as well as try to pull at someone's leg, right? And that's the thing I think that it kind of blown out of proportion with this thing. It's like, Sabonis pulled his leg at him, but Draymond did not need to put the type of force he did stepping on his chest. It's one thing if he gave him a jab or if he kicked him a little bit, whatever. You know what? The NBA probably just calls that, obviously, double flagrant or whatnot. They shoot free throws, and Draymond's not even thrown out of the game. But I think it was the force which really hurts Draymond's case. And like I said, it's Draymond Green. He has this history. The NBA is not going to be as lenient. I was kind of shocked, Dunny, to see that Shams tweeted that it's going to probably be a fine. He probably won't be suspended game 3. Yeah. When I watched it, I thought game 1 game suspension definitely in my head. I'm watching the replay over and over again. I'm like, this is a suspension. Whether it should be or not, this is a suspension. And yes, Sabonis isn't the victim here. He's part of the blame too. But you just can't do that if you're Draymond. You have to know the situation, and you have to know that people know the type of player Draymond is. And even though maybe that wasn't what Sabonis was thinking in the moment, that's always going to be in the back of the heads of guys playing against Draymond. They're like, if I can get under this guy's skin, he might do something stupid that can really hurt the Warriors' chance. And as you saw, Draymond, as soon as he got out of the game, I know the Kings won the game. They pulled away a little bit, but Draymond's one of the best defenders on the Warriors. It's a big loss. Regardless of how he was playing up to that point, it's still a big loss, and you just have to have more discipline. Sabonis pulls at the leg, and Draymond gives him a little jab. Okay, then I think we have a totally different conversation. But the way it just looks on camera, the force he has coming down on the guy's chest of all things, too. We're talking about nowadays in football, or not in football, in sports in general, where just heart problems and stuff like that, concussions, everything about player health, player safety is elevated more so than it's been before. You can't do that. Not on a guy's chest. You can't do that. He's lucky, obviously Sabonis was down for a bit, but he's lucky that Sabonis wasn't seriously hurt from that, because if he would have broke anything or if anything would have been damaged, like that's even worse on Draymond. It's an emotional play. I don't think Draymond's the type of scumbag that intentionally is trying to, curb stomp Sabonis's chest. But the force he had, it's like you got to discipline the guy for it. I'm just shocked that he's right now, according to Shams, potential to play Game 3, that they don't expect to be suspended.
Yeah, so I have like a mix of your guys' opinions. I think I'm with Jake, where like Sabonis is definitely in the wrong here too, and that's where I hate how people can't understand. Like, you can be mad at Draymond for the stomp because it was excessive and it was more than what Sabonis did, but also at the same time understand that Sabonis, like, it's just the same thing. It's like he hit me first, but the teacher saw the kid who swung second. Like, it's a tale as old as time. This shit happens in sports. It happens in real life, and it happened last night with Draymond and Sabonis. The thing that I think's corny about it and where I think Draymond's at most fault is he can never be wrong in these situations. Like you said, Jake, like he's always playing the victim. Even in the press conference after, he's like, I wasn't flexible enough to step over Sabonis. It's like, dude, everyone has seen the videos tenfold. Like, you stomped on his chest. You're at fault. And like Sabonis is too, but we can understand that.
Not even the fact, whatever he tried to do afterwards, he's like healing it up. He's going to the crowd. Like, you don't just do that if you didn't just like try to do something to somebody.
Did you see
like,
Clay?
If it was an accident,
Clay's just bad too.
Clay's like he was full sprinting. He had no way. What do you mean?
Yeah, it's like, what are you supposed to do if
he's out of control? No, he's not.
Yeah, he said, what are you supposed to do if someone grabs your foot when you're at full speed? Draymond was literally standing still when he grabbed his foot. Yeah,
the thing is, Clay probably did not see what happened at all.
Absolutely
and just
not.
believed
Absolutely
that.
At least,
like, bro, what do you mean?
Steph was the one who can do no wrong. Steph was like, I didn't see it. I was busy grabbing the rebound. But like, I'm sure Draymond was just pissed because he grabbed his foot. It's like, he could have just left it at that. Like, that's such a good point about Clay. Draymond and Clay, and like, rightfully so, they probably were pissed that they just lost. But like, they just came off as much bigger sore losers than anything else in those post-game interviews. But yeah, it's a crazy situation. I'm with you, Steve. I'm surprised. I didn't want Draymond to get a suspension just because I think it would muck up this series in a way where I'd like to just see more of this series as is, because it's been great so far. So I don't want him to, and I think people have got suspended for a lot less. So I am surprised that that's the sentiment right now, that he's supposedly not going to. But yeah, I'm in the camp where I think he deserves to get more of a punishment, whatever it is, than Sabonis. And like you said, nothing serious to Sabonis. But again, I'm surprised they're not suspending Draymond, because the Kings pulled this chest move where they're like, we're getting x-rays for Sabonis's chest. So like, it kind of made it seem a little worse than it was. Obviously, x-rays come back clear, but yeah, what a crazy situation. The only good thing from Draymond is coming out of this is his podcast ratings are going to be through the roof next week.
They always are.
Yeah.
It's easy. He always finds a way in these big games to make it about him, right? It was, just a crazy first two games, two great games. I think the best series so far. And who are we talking about after two games? We're not talking about the Kings, who are up 2-0 and have a chance to upset the defending champs. We're talking about damn Draymond Green, because he curb stomped Sabonis on the ground. And it's just, I know that's a player Draymond is, and I don't think Draymond's intent was ever to hurt Sabonis. That's just the type of guy he is. He plays like that. But it's like, dude, come on, man. It's like, you guys just got to be smarter. You just have to be smarter. And honestly, if Draymond does not get ejected in that game, Warriors were coming back a little bit. He helps their defense. The Kings started making shots once Draymond comes out in the fourth quarter. We could have a 1-1 series. Like, that could have been the swing in the series there, just by Draymond putting force into stomping on Sabonis. So,
also,
I don't know.
I saw today on Twitter that Draymond Green did the exact same thing Sabonis did to him to Aaron Gordon last year, and probably worse. Like, he literally yanked at Gordon's ankle.
Tried to pull him down.
Yeah, it's just a whole thing. Like, the victim thing bothers me more than the stomp. It's
Agreed.
like, can you just own it for once, bro?
Yeah.
And just
They're
be
both
like,
they're both
in the wrong. And
both
I think they called
Yeah.
it right on the court. I do think they called it right on the
Me
court.
too.
Both teams obviously shot free throws. They gave him a flagrant, and then Draymond's ejected because his just looked a little worse. I think that was called right on the court.
Yep.
But Sabonis is not the victim. He's not the victim at all.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, he's just going for a rebound and Draymond kicked him. No, like he yanked at him and Draymond said, you can't do that.
And he's been instigating the entire first game. He was instigating. He got tangled up a few times late game with Draymond. I think he knocked over Draymond at the beginning of this game too. Like Sabonis for sure deserves blame as well. But let's just get into the basketball in this series because we're already talking about it.
Yeah.
Kings lead 2-0. Jake, are the Golden State Warriors toast as we know them?
No, it's gonna be 2-2 going back to Sacktown. What do you mean? And then it's gonna be 3-3 going back to Sacktown.
Yep.
No one's winning no one's winning a road game. Maybe Golden State will win in Game 7. That's the only way this is going.
That's exactly how I feel. I don't think, and it's not the Warriors didn't look bad in either two games, and I brought him up earlier.
Jordan Poole looked kind of
bad.
last night.
I thought they were kind of
bad
last
terrible.
Night. Yeah, but I don't think they looked like bad to the point where like, oh, they're not going to be in this series. Obviously, the Warriors have had their road struggles all year long. Wiggins has been a huge help already. I was shocked how he played in Game 1. I was more shocked that he was thrown in the starting lineup and he played even better in Game 2. This doesn't surprise me, Dunny. I think, first off, the Kings haven't been in the playoffs in, 16 years? You had to expect that this was going to be an emotional first 2 home games for him, that this was big for him. De'Aaron
100%.
Fox played great, but it's the Warriors. If there's any team that can figure it out down 2-0, it's the Warriors. We said this at the start. I think it goes 7, and I'm sticking with it. I think it's a 7-game series, and I'm right with Jake. I think I'm going home team, and then Game 7 we'll see.
What's the series price right now? Have you any of you guys checked? Because I didn't check.
I haven't looked at any live series prices.
It started out. I think it was Warriors minus 275 or minus
Kings
225.
were like plus 215. I think before the series started.
And so the Kings, that's a pretty decent price for the Kings, but I wonder what it's at. Is it like even now? Like I wonder what Vegas thinks of
Take a guess before.
I'm guessing that Warriors are like plus 150 now.
Very close. Plus 134. Kings are minus 158. And I'll tell you what, most series, if it's 2-0, it's not that close to even odds.
Exactly.
So the books are pretty much saying too, we expected Golden State to lose the first couple games. They have 11 road wins all year.
Yeah, and if Golden State wins Game 3, then it's like minus 110, minus 112 or something.
I think it's closer to even odds. Yeah, exactly.
Game 1, I watched it. I started watching it at my apartment, and then I was going out, so I watched it on my phone and like a bar TV on my phone again. So I witnessed it on Twitter in a million different ways. But it was one of the most like thrilling games to like follow along and watch and anything of the season, honestly. And that's what it speaks to, I think, Dunny, with the biggest thing, like the Warriors, where we could have been talking about the Warriors stealing Game 1 in Sacramento and crushing that insane crowd, because it was. If Curry, I think it was, Curry's going up with that shot late in the game. How much money would you guys have bet? How much would you have put on that he's making that shot at the end of that game?
Yeah,
like that's a look that
Wiggins shot too. I thought was going.
And the Wiggins shot too,
wide open in the corner.
Yeah.
I mean that.
Both of them, you're terrified if you're a Kings fan watching those go up. So I mean. That's just how it breaks sometimes. That team, so they can go. I think they can blow them out Game 3. It could get ugly for the Kings if it goes cold for them.
Warriors can blow anyone out at home, though.
Exactly.
When they get hot, when they're shooting. Yeah, I agree.
I'm glad you guys still, have some faith and think that the Warriors are still going to stretch this one out, because
we've seen it too many times, Dunny. Come on.
Last show
is the Warriors.
Last show I had them in my finals pick, and now they're down 2-0 all of a sudden. I'm like, I might have to walk this back.
It's not great. Well, my finals pick is down 1-0 going into the night with their mortal enemy reffing the game, so I don't feel very good either.
You want to talk about that one, Jake? You want to talk about?
I didn't want to, but it just Dunny. I'm thinking about it. I've been very scared all day about the basketball, but this game specifically, I don't really know. And this is another thing too. I'm trying to get it up here. Hold up. Another thing too with this series though, is that game like all this doom and gloom about the Suns roasting. Oh, they'd have such a bad bench. They're not going to be able to do this. Blah blah blah. Whatever. Like it was literally down to the very end. Last couple plays needed to be made, and both these teams were in this game. Isn't that what we expected, even without Paul George? Like Kawhi reminded us who he is. Reminded us who he is.
We said, I think months ago, that Kawhi is one of the most feared players come playoffs, right? That we think if there's guys who could carry teams to win or steal games in a series, Kawhi is on the short list. And what did he do? He stole that game. Now, I'm not going to give the Suns have to be better. Kevin Durant has to be more aggressive offensively.
It was tough in the first half. He was definitely trying to let everybody else kind of,
And I get it, but like, you're not winning the game when
same thing too.
Durant has 11 assists. He shouldn't be the one with 11 assists. That's not Kevin Durant's game. And I get it. He played well. He played efficient. But if you want to win this series, you got to have your best player. And it's not Devin Booker. It's Kevin Durant. Take the game over at the end. I thought Durant played well, but I don't think Durant played to win the series, like to win that game. He had a great game, efficient game. But he's got to be more aggressive. If the Suns are going to lose, lose because of Kevin Durant, not because he's passing it to someone else.
I knew they were going for a quick 2 at the end there when they were down 3 when Book got his shot blocked by Russ and then ultimately thrown out on him. Did you guys think that was weird that Kevin Durant didn't have the ball in his hands in that moment? I mean, he hadn't shot. He literally didn't take a shot the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter.
It was all weird.
Is it just the Suns are like Kawhi's the best defender? Like we're just gonna try to.
It was weird what the Suns were doing all game. To me, the rotations everything was weird. How they did the game, like the way I don't know, man. It was just like I never would have had either Durant or Booker off the floor, and I never would have had one of the 4 or 2 of the 4 off the floor at any time.
Agreed.
When you don't have a bench, you need 2 of your stars on the floor. And they were putting one guy out there alone. And I don't think Durant, and I think that hurt Durant's offense getting going. That hurt Booker's offense getting going because the Clippers defense with Ty Lue, we know what Ty Lue's able to do defensively when it gets to playoff series. It's different. But really for me, it wasn't about the Suns at all. It's just Kawhi he came out trying to make a statement. He was like, I'm going to be able to go toe to toe with these guys this series. I don't know if he can do that again 2 nights later. I think that's fair to ask, or 3 nights later, or whatever it is. I don't know, or 2 nights later. Yeah, I think that's fair to ask for a guy who has been load managed for 3 years that on 2 nights rest, is he going to be able to replicate such an efficient performance? Maybe he will. Maybe he'll shut me up. He's one of the greatest playoff performers in the history of the sport. But if he even drops a little bit in efficiency tonight and Durant ups it a little bit in efficiency, that's the difference between a couple point loss and maybe the Suns win by 7.
Yeah, I was able, or I wasn't able to. I was just paying attention closely to Durant's points on Sunday night because I had his points over on the prop and it hit by 1. So I was paying close attention the whole game. He didn't score until the final seconds of the first quarter. Went scoreless. So he pretty much went scoreless in the first. Scored 10 in the second quarter. Didn't score in the third quarter, and then scored the rest of his points for the first 7 minutes of the fourth quarter because he didn't shoot the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So he scored 27 basically in 2 quarters of that game. Yeah. So I think that can almost be a positive for the Suns. It's like you have Kawhi doing this to you on the other end, but in the meantime, like Steve's right, Durant shouldn't have 11 assists. Obviously, he's still, creating offense and scoring, but it's just different if Durant's matching his big shots after Kawhi or, the game plan just needs to be different for the Suns, and I'm sure it will be going into this game.
It's really Durant needs Durant was not the alpha of that offense that whole night, and it wasn't Booker either. And I don't think that's the winning recipe for the Suns long term in the playoffs is for them not to be the main orchestrator at all times. And I get why you wouldn't.
Corey Craig to go 9 for 12 every night.
Yeah. I mean, hey, he comes to play in the playoffs.
got-
Torrey Craig's one of those guys I might want always on my playoff teams at this point. Like he does everything that Jay Crowder does with less of the credibility at this point. That's some Jay Crowder hate a little bit too, but you want to talk about? Can we talk about that game quick? I didn't watch any of this game. I watched all of this game on my phone, so I need you guys, if you watched it, to tell me what the fuck happened in Milwaukee. What in the world? If you have anything else on this quick?
No, I just wanted to say we feel as a podcast pretty vindicated on the performance Russ had. And it was literally the most Russ experience through and through. Like, poor shooting performance, got into it with a fan at halftime, and then
how did he get in the suite? Wait, how did he get
That's what I don't understand. I don't understand that.
How did this
happen? Also thought that I didn't see it until after the game, so I thought it was post game, and then later I found out it was halftime.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like maybe it was like off a tunnel to the locker room, like it had its own hallway, and he like heard the chirps and just like went down there and rolled his shirt up, showing off the abs. I don't know what that part was about either. He just like had his shirt halfway off when he was telling some dude to shut the fuck up. But
it was extremely strange. It looked like an AI created video for a second.
Yeah,
like you were like, "Is this really happening? Like, what do you mean?"
The guy's son just sitting in the middle of it, like eating mac and cheese, minding his own.
He's chomping down. Good for him.
But it was classic Russ, man. That play at the end, that block on Booker, and then classically throws it off him out of bounds while Book's already going to bitch to the referees. Was perfect. And I'm happy he got his moment too. He was putting the clamps.
Sit by the tunnel. Yeah. All right. At least that like it was like a quick access, because that was the biggest thing for me. I was like, how out of his way did he go to find this fan that was yelling at him and go yell at him again? Like, because if he like, that's crazy behavior. It's not like over halftime is a long time in the NBA. So
last thing too, he played great defense. I saw he played 56 possessions on Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant, and allowed 6 points. So he was just amazing through and through. Obviously, you take the shooting percentage game in and game out with Russell Westbrook, but
that's going to be the lazy anti-Westbrook argument, right? They're going to be like, 3 for 19, he played poorly, like he hurt the team. It's like, just watch the guy play. Like, he's not the best efficient shooter in the world. We've known this his entire career, but he does so much else positively impacting on a basketball court. So,
No, I'm with you. All right, Bucks Heat, the mystery game. We talked about the top.
Guys.
Hero injured, Giannis injured. I think it was just a Jimmy. From like what I watched, it was Jimmy Butler just literally getting whatever he wanted, and it was kind of we haven't really seen this from Jimmy in a while. I guess the second play-in game he kind of started to show this a little bit, but like he was hitting tough looks over guys like Brook Lopez. I mean, he was posting guys up. His jump shot was on.
He was feeling himself a little bit.
It was playoff Jimmy to a T.
The only thing that I saw, that's the only thing that I could gather, was because I opened my score app and I could see Jimmy had a lot of points. It was like 14 points in the first quarter or whatever. And it's funny just because every time you look at the score app, I don't know what you guys use, ESPN or whatever score you use.
Yeah.
Do you know Jimmy's picture is still him with the dreads?
Yes.
It just makes me laugh every time. It just throws me off.
I believe it is on DraftKings too.
Oh, that's great. So you see him as like the leaders thing when it pops up, and it's just like it's always memorable. I know Jimmy's cooking because I'm like, you look like, how did this happen? He just did it to mess with everybody, probably for that reason. That exactly for me to look at that. But if Jimmy's gonna do that, and Giannis, I don't think he's really gonna be hampered. But I think they can, even if Giannis goes off, I think if the Heat get performance like that now without Hero. Again, I'm not the biggest Hero person in the world, but I don't think they can beat the Bucks or upset the Bucks without Hero at that point.
They'd have to play Duncan and Lowry a lot more. And I know Lowry played well in the play-in games. Oh God, Kevin Love.
8 points, 6 rebounds, and Cavs fans were about to burn down the city.
He did play good. And I will say too, I know Jake, you said you didn't watch it, but before Giannis got hurt, the Heat got off to a really hot start. But part of that was because of the defense. They were forcing anyone but Giannis to beat him on the other end of the court. And I will see if that continues, obviously, going on in the series. But that's kind of been a common theme so far in a lot of these series going up against a superstar. And I'll talk about this in the Nets Sixers when we get to it, is they're forcing anyone but the best player to beat them. And for the Heat, it was working a little bit. Their offense was clicking early on.
Yeah.
But before Giannis got hurt, the Heat had a really good plan on the defensive side of just getting the ball out of Giannis's hands, not letting Giannis take the game home, not putting guys in bad positions defensively where it's just a mismatch against Giannis. So we'll see how this series continues. And I say this all the time. I think Giannis is probably the one guy in the NBA. Yeah, there's a lot of guys, but if I had to pick one, it would be Giannis, where you just have no answer for him defensively. Eventually, Giannis is just going to get to the rim, and you're just going to have to accept that. But the Heat had a really, really nice plan at the start before the injury. So I got to give the Heat credit there. I know a lot of people are going to be like, the Heat won because Giannis got hurt, which is fair, which is completely fair. And the Bucks team is completely different when Giannis is not on the court. But let's not forget that the game started off with the Heat on a nice run and playing really well. They were controlling the game while Giannis before he got her out. So we got to say that.
Yeah, and I would say, I guess I don't even know if the Bucks need to be encouraged, because I think most of the public and the Bucks themselves probably still think they're winning this series. Yeah. But I mean, Middleton scoring 33 points in 33 minutes had to have felt good for him. Bucks fans.
Sure. Let me give you this. I have a Bucks fan friend at work in the office today. Talked to him. He didn't even mention the game. He wasn't even concerned enough. Like I've talked to him about the Bucks so many times. Didn't even care to bring it up. He was talking about TV shows. He's not.
Wow.
I think they're ready. It could be like, how many times have we seen LeBron in the past? We've talked about it, game ones and everything else. Maybe that's the approach Giannis took. Maybe he's like, my back hurts a little bit. Let's just sit out. Let them have this one. We'll see how they play us. And then they just come out and win 4 straight. That could be. I mean, would anybody be surprised if that happens? I don't think so.
I just saw this.
I'm not surprised.
On NBA Central, they don't have a source, but breaking Giannis Antetokounmpo is doubtful for tomorrow's game versus.
Ooh, so never mind.
Doubtful is questionable. I'd be like, he's playing. Doubtful.
Yeah. Doubtful doesn't sound good.
No,
definitely does not sound good.
Now it's the NBA. Doubtful could mean he's 100% by tip.
Yeah,
but
if
it could
Miami,
be a little gamesmanship, could be a little gamesmanship. That's for sure. Here's the thing: is if
Miami can win this one, can they win the series?
Yes,
they can go up 2-0.
If they go up 2-0,
the Bucks without Giannis
Miami,
this year, all the Bucks turn into without Giannis this year is one of the best 3-point shooting teams like ever. They just start bombing threes and shoot over like high 30%. Everybody will. That's all they'll do all game.
Grayson Allen, Javon Carter will hit 70.
Brooke Lopez is gonna go like 7 for 10, like from 3. Like that's what's gonna happen. And I don't know if the Heat can keep up with that. So even if Giannis is out, I'm not like, obviously I don't feel as confident. But that's the more thing is like, why is Giannis? What's up with his back and why is he sitting out? Because if he thought it was, if he could go, I think he would go. Interesting. All right, where do you want to go next, Dunny?
Yeah, let's do Nets Sixers. That's the other game that's already a 2-0 lead for the Sixers. They've already played 2 of their games. Happened last night. But I don't know. I watched both these games. Last night's I watched a little closer than game 1. Both these games seems like the Nets had a chance at one point or another. The Nets looked in control in the first half last night. Jacque Vaughn just decided to stay small, very, very small. And I think Embiid just got sick of that and kind of took exception to that. And then that's when Philly started making their run. Harden found his shot a little bit in the second half.
Yeah.
And they were just able to do good things with it. But I don't know. I thought Brooklyn might be able to make this a series, but after last night, I'm not so sure. Where are you guys at with this one?
I'm kind of with you, Donnie, where I think the Nets, despite being down 2-0, kind of encouraging a little bit. their defensive plan for Embiid has kind of worked to limit him in terms of dominating inside. Now, he had a ton of rebounds in game 2, but that's just going to happen when Embiid's by far the biggest man on the court. But offensively, I think only 20 points in the second game. I think he only had 25 in game 1, which is well below what he was averaging in the regular season, around 33. And the Nets had they're double teaming him, and they're saying to have someone else beat us. Unfortunately for them, game 1, the Sixers made 21 threes. I don't care who's playing the 76ers. If Philly's making 21 threes, they're not losing. And then in game 2, Tyrese Maxey had a very, very good game and kind of took over a little bit. But it's encouraging because, like you said, they were kind of in both games. The first game, they kind of got run out of the gym at the end. But they've had a nice plan against their best player. And I said this, if you can not take Embiid out of the game, but just limit him a little bit, you're going to be in this series, especially at home, maybe steal a game or two. Bridges, the biggest concern, is he going to look like that star guy? And game 1 he did, game 2 not as much, but game 1 was very encouraging where Bridges was getting looked very comfortable as the star role. And I got to give some flowers to Cam Johnson, who I think played 2 of the best games of his career in game 1 and 2.
Fantastic last night.
Cam Johnson's playing like this and Bridges is playing the way he is. They just need Dinwiddie to step up, and I think they can get right back in the series. I really do. I don't think they'll win the series, but I think they'll make it respectable and maybe steal a game or 2.
Yeah, that's very well said there, Steve. I think that they have done very well on Embiid, and I think that's been a great point. And when it's a good idea because Harden's been inconsistent, right? Like throughout both games, he's had bright spots. He's had spots where it's looked tough, struggled with his shot. Like you said, Dunny, he found it a little bit there at the end. I don't know if I trust any of those. I don't trust any of those guys any given night to be like consistent, the shooters for Philly, but Embiid is good enough and just dominant enough, even with all that, I think to overpower them. I don't know. I still feel like it can be a sweep, and maybe these games are closer. I might give the Nets a game just to be nice, but like if I'm betting on it, I'd probably bet the Sixers both these games in Brooklyn too, just because the talent level for me is just so great. It's just they're so inconsistent that like you just don't know what you're getting with Philly. The story of the Philadelphia 76ers for however many years, the last 7 years. But they should really just handle this team, and that's kind of where I'm at. But the way that they look compared to the way that I guess Dunny and Steve's Boston Celtics, they're gonna get smoked. They're gonna get smoked in the second round by them too. Like if they played like they do in these 2 games against Boston, the way that they looked game 1 remains to be seen how they look game 2, but I expect more of the same. I just don't think that they can even play on the same court if their skill guys outside of Embiid are inconsistent like that.
Yeah. And last thing I have on the series, it's just so crazy to think about and almost disappointing. Like imagine this Nets team with a driven Ben Simmons. It's
crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like they're competing with the 3 seed right now. And that, they have a new head coach. All these guys are brand new.
And this is his old team. This could have been the revenge series. This is like what you live for when you get
He probably knows as a player, as far as like his abilities and
him and McHale could have worked
his
all
weaknesses.
the vitriol.
I just feel like Ben could have been an X factor, especially the way that Jacque Vaughn is apparently looking to play. Like they want to go small, and if you want to go small and defend, what better guy to have on the court than Ben Simmons? It's just super disappointing. You think he would maybe know some of Embiid's weaknesses, and he would give them a leg up, or not a leg up, but at least a better fighting chance. But we all know he was shut down a few weeks before the playoffs. So, yeah, it's looking like this could be a sweep for Philly. I'm hoping, the Nets steal a game. It's kind of a selfish thought from two aspects there, because I want them to have a little tougher road before they play the Celtics, and I would rather just more basketball is always better basketball in my opinion. So.
Nice.
But that's Nets Sixers. What other series? Oh, Jake, tonight, Cavs next, game 2.
Yay.
What do we got?
Yay.
Yay. I don't know, dude. Can they get a rebound? Can we get a rebound? Just one?
Please.
If they get one more rebound, they actually win that game. Literally, if they
Yeah,
just
that
got
was
one
bad.
more rebound, they won that game.
Some of the worst display of rebounding I've seen for a team that should be good at rebounding.
They're 14th in defensive rebounding all year, so they're not good. They're average. But that was like just that all you have to do is watch that last possession, and you're like, that's the difference in this game. And the thing is, so there's two parts of me. There's two Jakes living inside of me right now. There's one that's the optimistic Jake that's like, everything went wrong everything I feared, everything I talked about the other day in this series that I was scared of happened game one, and they still only lost by like 4 points or whatever it ended up being. So like that's a good thing. Like everything went wrong. They played pretty bad, only lost by 4. The thing is, I think the Knicks can just keep doing this all series. I don't really know what the answer is. Mobley hitting more shots would be nice. I think they're going to go small.
Garland taking a shot in the second half would be nice.
It's not Garland's fault. It is JB's fault. JB's got to get him involved, and Mitchell needs to not just the Cavs offense for the last 6 minutes of games cannot just be Mitchell taking pull-up threes and them hoping he makes those. Though it's like that's all it was for
I will
4
say though, Mitchell. And I don't agree with it because someone else I think needs to step up. But the way Mitchell was playing, I think as a Cavs fan, you're okay with it, right? And the way he's playing in the game, you're okay with him.
I'm just not okay with Darius not taking a shot.
I agree. I agree
with more
you.
shots I see Mitchell take. I mean, yes, it's working. Everything's going well. And that's eventually you're like, this is our only shot because this is what's happening in this game. And I think it is on Darius too. I shouldn't say it's not on Darius, because it is on him he needs to be in the huddle, be like, someone give me the ball. Like, he was shooting well. Like, he was playing well. He was shooting well when he was getting into where he needed to get to. I don't know. It was baffling to me to not see him more involved. And I get Mitchell was cooking and everything else, but that game didn't have to be close. They made it close. They clean up 2 out of the 7 things they did wrong, and they probably win by 5 points. We're not even like talking about anything. I don't know if they can. Yeah. And I think I really am worried about JB versus Tibbs. So I don't care about any player stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. We can talk about that all night long. The Cavs have enough talent to win the series. It's really the coaching thing at this point. And I don't know if they can. I don't know if they got answers. Wendy basically said, did I send you guys that clip? I think I quoted it. There's an ESPN Cleveland clip.
I saw that clip you're talking about.
Yeah, that Wendy basically said that Tibbs is like unbothered by JB. He's like, Tibbs was very comfortable on the sideline making adjustments or whatever the thing was. He knows he's got JB at a blender, and that has been the Cavs fans. True. If you go to Cavs Reddit, that is the biggest thing all season long that they will be complaining about is no one really believes in JB Bickerstaff. Like, they kind of do, and if he just gets sunned for this whole series by the Knicks in a series that they could win. We've seen inferior coaches lose a series for a team that should win before. That's all I'm saying. Even if that's what it is, that's what it is. I think that's what it was in game 1 more than anything else.
Sure.
Go
ahead.
I was just gonna say my biggest thing observation wise was just I think it was a physicality thing for me. Like, it just kind of looked and. Again, not Mitchell, right? I think Mitchell didn't. Maybe he tried to do too much, but I don't think it was a physicality thing for him. But I think Mobley needs to be a little more stronger on the block. I think both Mobley and Allen need to focus more on rebounding. Yeah, and I think it was probably due to the Knicks being a little more physical than them, right? I think Josh Hart, Randall, even Mitchell Robinson, who I haven't seen had a good game in like months.
Dunny, do you know how angry I was when Josh Hart ran in from like mid-court and got that offensive rebound? I almost turned the game off at that minute. That was like one of the most infuriating basketball plays,
bro.
And that's like, but that was the whole game. That's just like, and that's what you're exactly right. Like the Knicks made a point. Like, we are going to be physical. We're going to be annoying. We're going to be assholes all night. And let's see what you guys do to respond. And I mean, they did, but they did they kind of did, but they kind of didn't. I don't know what you do with Mobley and Allen because there was no room to do anything inside. That was part of the problem too.
True.
for Garland as much as anything else. Garland loves to live on the little floaters and live in the mid, like not the mid range, but like the 10 feet area and everything. And that was just not open. Defensively, they played fine. Like Brunson did what he's going to do in the second half. He didn't play a lot in the first half, obviously. You know, Randall was hitting crazy mid-rangers. I don't think that's going to happen all series. I don't know. We'll see what happens tonight, but it could go bad. I think it could get bad quick tonight too. I don't think that there's.
You don't have faith that they're gonna.
I just don't.
It up. They're gonna play better defense. Like
I got to see a lot of change.
They played so poorly in terms of effort and in terms of physicality. That's what you can switch from game to game, right? You're not just gonna randomly be able to make, like, obviously shooting goes up and down, but that's something you could be like, all right, we are gonna make this an effort to crash the glass, to make sure we don't get out rebound, to give them 3-4 possessions and an offensive possession, give them 3-4 extra chances. That's what I think you can switch to game to game. And I think the Cavs have the size to do that. I think it was just an effort and physicality standpoint. I think that's something you can switch.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. I think there's definitely some, individual concerning things, but I think ultimately it was that. And again, I think the Knicks probably come down a little. I think they got some help from some unlikely heroes in that game at just random points. Obviously, Brunson's going to be fucking amazing throughout because that's just who Brunson is now, apparently. But yeah, we'll see. I think Cavs bounce back tonight.
Okoro said to watch out for his antics, whatever that means. He said they got to look out for Jalen Brunson's antics. So I don't know what the fuck Jalen Brunson's doing out there, but it pissed Okoro off, that's for
He's
sure.
Pulling down shorts at the free throw line, the classic short like guy move.
It's got to be. And Julius Randle literally elbowed like 5 dudes in the face. It was crazy.
Yeah.
He was.
Randle was throwing bows, dude. He was throwing bows. All right, I say we go over Lakers Grizz here. Nuggets T-Wolves is on pause for the moment because it's absolute snooze fest.
Yeah,
Nuggets lead 1-0. It was a 29-point game. The Timberwolves only put up 80 points. I think we need to see more from that series to get a little preview or
Nuggets starters barely played in the second half.
Yeah.
Jamal Murray did look great though, and that's the first time we've seen him in the playoffs since the bubble. So
yeah,
that's an encouraging sign for Nuggets fans.
Definitely encouraging for the Nuggets. Lakers Grizzlies, the game of Rui Hachimura and Austin Reeves. The Lakers took a 1-0 lead. Davis looked good. Brown looked good. Davis scared everyone with that stinger he got in his elbow.
Bomani Jones made a great point about Anthony Davis. He's just the guy that we all know that just like anytime that anything hurts, they feel like they're just like gonna fall apart, like their arm's gonna fall off, and then he's fine. Because I feel like he gets a bruise and he like feels like his toe is falling off or something. Like, like we all know those people that act like any injury, and maybe that's just AD. And LeBron I think LeBron does it just for like, drama at this point. He's like a Shakespearean actor when he goes down, but AD I think is just like low pain tolerance. I guess that's what
he probably also just like doesn't know at this point. Like anytime he gets injured, he's probably like, "Oh, I'm out for months."
Yeah, honestly, just
expecting the worst. Yeah. I don't know. I got like, I thought Lakers would win Game 1. I just had a kind of weird feeling the way LeBron and company was coming out of those play-in games. But I also didn't think that I would see such a lifeless Grizzlies team, and I feel like that's kind of what we got. Obviously, the jaw injury doesn't help, but maybe I shouldn't say lifeless. There's something off about the Grizzlies for Game 1 playoff series at home. Something seemed off with the Grizz.
I think they just couldn't get the momentum. They just couldn't get it behind them. When they went on a little bit of the run, Lakers answered, and they were trading baskets for a while until the end when the Lakers just kind of pulled away at the very end. I thought it was a competitive game. Jaren Jackson, shout out Defensive Player of the Year, Jaren Jackson, he played very, very well. But I think the reason I think Dunny feel that way is the Grizzlies just never really had that spark or that momentum to it that we're used to seeing from the Grizzlies. A lot of that has to deal with Ja Morant obviously getting hurt and then not having his best game. Desmond Bane not playing his best game either. But overall, I mean, even though they lost game 1, I wasn't too concerned with how the Grizzlies looked. I don't think the Lakers will walk through the Memphis Grizzlies. What I am not concerned about, I guess concerned if you're on the Grizzlies side of this, those Lakers role players, man, they're getting better every game. They're getting better every single game. And I think that's probably the part that really makes it in this series take away from the Grizzlies side is because the Grizzlies players we expect to play well, played well for the most part. They didn't really have that spark to them, but they played all right. Jaren Jackson had a great game. But the Lakers, that's a B- LeBron performance.
He was not, I'd be kind.
Anthony Davis, B- LeBron. I think that's generous. And Austin Reeves and Rui said we're just those guys now. Austin Reeves is just
Reeves
him.
is that guy now.
He is that guy. He's been that guy at the end of the regular season, and I didn't want to buy it because I'm like, we'll see come playoffs. Well, game 1, nothing changed from the last month. So it's I know Jake's gonna love this, but this is not only for the Grizzlies but the rest of the West. Like you gotta watch out for the Lakers. You gotta take notice on the Lakers because if the role players are playing like this and they're winning a road playoff game with a B-, you can even go C+ LeBron game. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Hey, that Lakers Celtics finals that Dunny and I have predicted at least twice on this podcast before. It looks more real than ever.
It does.
No, the realest it looked was the bubble. That's for sure. We were so close. We were so close, but we're right back there. I mean, I thought the Lakers. I mean, I'm with you, Steve. I think the Grizz put up a fight, but I think the Lakers they're just better than this Grizzlies team. I think that's what that was the thing that it didn't look like a fluke win. It looked like the Lakers just had answers for the Grizzlies and just kind of, figured it out and grinded out a good road win. There was no fluke. There was no, maybe like you could call Reeves and Rui a fluke, but it didn't feel like a fluke. Felt like Reeves and Rui have been kind of putting up performances like that for the second half of the year, and they just kind of did what they did, and it's scary if that's what it's going to be. It's scary. Davis was awesome defensively. I mean, that's the one thing is he was just everywhere, swatting balls off LeBron too, swatting balls off the backboard all over the place. Like if those guys are just going to be flying around like that, and you still got Vanderbilt out there flying around too, like it's a tough front line to try to go against for anybody.
It is.
Then you got Hillbilly Kobe at the top of everything, man.
Dude,
Austin
what
Reeves.
the hell? How
he's so goddamn good, and
he's
it's
electric. Like
he has to be, because like there's guys who play loose, right? Like I think one of the most historic examples of it is like Jamal Crawford always came off as a guy who played so loose. He just he had it. He wasn't overly confident. He was never nervous. I feel like that's how Austin Reeves is. He's just loose. True. Like his handle's tight, but he plays loose. Like he's never out of focus. He's always just driven, and every play he makes looks so easy. Like that. But I forget who the open look was to, but he had a perfect behind the back pass to an open teammate for 3 in this game, and then. Just the way he gets to the rim for any type of floater or easy layup he wants, it's just there for him.
And the touch too, the touch is
he makes
crazy.
It look effortless.
Where
has this been?
Yeah,
the scoring's one thing, Tony, but you brought like his passing. Where has this been? It's the
confidence, bro. It's got to be the I mean, they found a gem. Obviously, he's a guy that the talent's been there and everything. But
he's an okay guy.
Hey, LeBron said since day one, he saw him working out. He's like, I always knew. Always knew we had one.
Oh, that press! That is the most LeBron. I was watching that guy's middle school tape, man. I knew he was going to be something special.
He has to do it on purpose.
LeBron is fucking crystal ball, dude.
Stop it! Stop! I'm a log.
He should just bring a crit every time. Oh yeah, I was looking one time in here. I saw
him in an AAU game a few years back, and I was like, this kid's got something special.
Hey man,
So
whatever he
outrageous,
did,
man.
whatever he told him though, whatever he's been whispering into Austin's ear all year long and yelling at him, it's working.
It has
bro.
worked. I will
It's
say that.
fucking
Meme or no
working.
meme, LeBron's a great mentor to have.
Well,
and
this feels like
he's taken
such.
Reeves under his wing, and it's clearly shown.
If there's anything that we can say about this squad now, is that they have all of them are bought in more than any Lakers team I've
Agreed.
seen since LeBron and AD have been there. Even the title team, like the title team was all bought in to a degree, but you knew there were combustible elements there still with the Kuzma, contract situations that were coming up, everything else. This team feels like they know what they're there for. Like they are tight, and it's crazy how quickly they've come together, but they feel tight knit, and it's gonna be a fun series. That's gonna be a really fun, and just see what Ja looks like tomorrow night, as much as anything.
Yeah,
like
if he gets in
what
there.
his effect can be. Yeah, Dunny. So we got about 1 minute until your Celtics tip off. So they dominated the Hawks. Game 1.
Yeah.
Any concerns? You did ask us if we were concerned. I guess Celtics Twitter was worried about the second half when the Celtics stopped trying against the Hawks. I wasn't too concerned about that. Is that any concern for you?
I wasn't really either. Once I saw the question get posed, I was like, I guess I hadn't thought of it at all. So, I mean, it's really hard to get a 30-point lead in this league.
Yeah.
It's even harder to maintain it. So I think the fact that they were up 30 so early, like they were up 30 at the half, you knew Atlanta. Like
was going to battle back a little bit, yeah.
Right. Atlanta's an inferior opponent, but they're not that bad. Like we saw what they did in the play, and they looked.
Atlanta can score.
Right. So at some point, we knew it was coming. I think they cut it to like 7 at one point. I think that was a little concerning. But then, the Jays put their foot on the gas again. Outside shots started to fall again. I wasn't that concerned. Missoula actually was just asked about this like 20 minutes ago before the game. And he got snippy with the reporter. He was just like, what did you want our third quarter lead to be, 52?
Well, and that's the thing too, right? The conversation at halftime is completely different if you're up 10 versus if you're up 30. The main concern when the Celtics are up 30 they're okay if the Hawks chip away. They're not playing to cover the spread. They're playing to win the game. The defensive intensity goes down a little bit. You want your guys to stay healthy, and you just want to control the game. And no matter at any point in that game, Duddy, no matter what, even when the Hawks were coming back a little bit, making their shots, I was never once concerned that the Celtics are going to blow the lead, because every single time it got to the point where this game might be competitive, they just got back up again. Yeah. And that's just what the Celtics do. They're experienced, and they're a smart team where when they have that type of big lead, they could take their foot off the gas a little bit and know that we're going to just control this game. We're not trying to run them out of the gym in game 1. It's a 7-game series. We're just going to control this game and get out with a win. And I think that's what they did. I don't think there should be any concern at all.
I'll tell you what, Dunny, I was extremely thankful for the Celtics in that moment, because I was extremely hungover and I needed a nap. And once the Celtics were up by 25, I was like, I'm going to lay my head down before this Cavs game starts. So it was great. Thank you, Boston.
Yeah, I'm happy they can do that for you. Hopefully they're about to do the same thing right now. I believe we hit every game. Like I said, Nuggets T-Wolves. It's not a disrespect thing.
We'll get to it.
Might seem like it, but we're
gonna. No, this is all the respect to Meerkat and the Nuggets, because that's why we're not talking about it, because they're so damn good.
They played like a 1 seed. They played like a 1
seed. Exactly.
Sure
we shouldn't talk about it.
And not
just fucking handled business.
Defensively, they were
not
incredible.
That fraud Giannis who got scared of Jimmy Butler and decided to sit out.
I will say one thing: Jokic's footwork and post moves, the little that I saw from that T-Wolves game,
dude, there was
ice skates. They're on ice skates trying to guard.
I've never seen a guy hit so many little jumpers that bounce around the rim 4 times and still go in. He had an and one early on where it was literally off the back rim, off the side, and then goes in. It's how the fuck do you hit those? How do you? Are you? He might be magic. He might just be some like sorcerer or something.
Just
and
a giant Serbian wizard.
It could be. It'd be just as believable as anything.
Look foolish.
It's nuts. They got no shot, dude.
And he didn't have to do much. He didn't have to do much. Jokic, he did that for the first quarter, Donnie, and then Jokic's like, all right, it's just good chill. I'll just do my thing. I'll pass it a little bit, get a couple of assists.
He said Jamal's our number one. That's what he said.
He should be the number one scoring option, though, because when Jamal's in his bag, he can hit it from anywhere.
He's like, I'm not even the number one. That's Jamal.
That sidestep 3, disgusting.
There's nothing. The Wolves got nothing, man. Let's see when it's Phoenix or LA at this point.
Agreed.
Those two are gonna, drag each other to the depths of hell. Are you ready for the Scott Foster game before we go? I'm very excited to see.
We didn't even mention that.
What's
Scott
he gonna
Foster.
do? Is it just keep it close? Get the cover, because it is part of the Scott Foster thing is that they're like 1-12 against the spread too.
Yeah.
So
and Chris Paul didn't play great in the first game. Did not play good in the
Chris
first
might as well stay home, bro. He's not gonna help at all tonight.
Especially if he has to deal with Russ, bro. This could not be like a worse first round matchup for CP3.
Unless Scott is just gonna flip it on us. Like tonight, it's just Chris Paul gets touched, foul on Russ immediately. And we're like, okay, maybe tonight's the other way. I don't trust it though. I'm a little worried. That's what worries me the most about my finals pick now. And regretting not just picking Lakers Celtics after. That's really what I want at this point.
You should have picked that.
But I didn't see that in my vision. And if I just came on here and said LeBron's gonna be winning in TD Garden, holding it up, it would have been the most predictable. I could see Dunny. He would have been so mad. He'd be like, "Why am I doing this right now? This kid just picked LeBron to win when they're a 7 seed." No, I couldn't do that. Instead, I picked Chris Paul to win. A much more likely scenario.
Ryan Russillo would be very proud.
So proud.
It's not for Chris Paul. It's in spite of Chris Paul. Let's go watch some basketball and some Rangers Devils too.
Ooh.
Sure, yeah, playoff hockey's here as well, folks. All right, follow us at Happy Hour Hoops 1 on all socials. Follow Trainwreck Sports and go enjoy some NBA playoffs. Go Celtics.